take to launch over 50 medical innovations and generate over 100 million in revenue without losing sight of what patients actually need? Today, we go inside the mind of a commercial strategist who's done just that. I'm joined by Matt Valego, Chief Commercial Officer at Lumitex, and Director of Marketing, Lindsay Jankovic, to talk about innovation leadership and how branding in medical technology is transforming in 2025. Matt, Lindsay, it's so great to have you today. Thank you for joining Under the Brand. I'm excited to just learn more about what's going on at Lumitex. Matt, let's start with you. You've been in medical device manufacturing for a long time, and actually I've had the privilege of working with you in a few different endeavors. What attracted you to Lumitex specifically?
Good question, and happy to be here. What really originally attracted me is the space. So we are a global leader in medical device lighting, and there's really very few other companies can say that they even participate in this space. And we do it really well. The people, the technologies, and our customers really drew me in.
You've had also a really impressive career. Tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get into this space? Because it's very niche. And then Lumitex, as you mentioned, is also very unique in the lighting aspect of medical devices.
Yes, excellent. So I started my career in field sales in medical devices, worked my way up into product marketing, sales leadership, marketing leadership, eventually general management in products that are sold into hospitals, into home care, into physician offices, ranging from consumables to capital equipment. So a pretty broad range of experiences, and in both big companies and small companies. And Lumitex really gave me an opportunity to come in a small company that's been around for 40 years with great technology and really make decisions quickly and help lead and grow the business.
Do you feel like the industry, just the medical device industry as a whole, has really changed even like in the last 5 years? And if so, what does it take today to really take a product to market?
Good question. It has. I mean, I think we all know the external environment that we're facing today with tariffs and all of the other macroeconomic factors that affect not only just medical devices, but businesses in general globally. And, it all goes back to understanding our customers. So you have to really pay attention to not just your customers, but their customers and who's using your products, and really be a voice to them and be a thought leader to them and be able to guide them and make their jobs easier. A great example of this is, we've seen over the last 10 years, surgical robotics has really, taken over some of the higher tech medical device spaces. And we participate there, and we're able to understand what surgical visualization looks like and how we can help light the way for not only physicians, but also the cameras and the robots to see the procedures and be able to effectively operate.
So we really are in a new era with the tech, and you're seeing rapid disruption. What types of approaches or conversations are you guys having at Lumitex right now? I mean, you're clearly a leader in the lighting space. So what does this kind of future path look like for Lumitex?
We really have two forward-thinking areas. One is in what I'll call phototherapy. So it's phototherapy, photobiomodulation, photodynamic therapy, where we are a leader in the design and manufacturing of these devices. And we can really help young companies, startup companies, whether it's through research and helping them to commercialize these devices. So it's understanding what our technological capabilities are and being able to effectively convey that to some of these startup companies and help them grow. On the surgical end, we put a lot of effort into developing intellectual property around what surgical lighting means, whether it's visualization of certain tissues, whether it's being able to have a physician-controlled light source that's inside the sterile field versus something that's back at the wall of the operating room. So those are a couple of things that we do to try to keep on top of the technology and our customers.
Yes. Well, and Lindsay, as director of marketing, this can't be an easy job to stay on the cutting edge and the pulse of all this new tech. And probably, I would assume that the education that's involved with clients, it sounds like Matt is just describing all different stages of a journey, business size and type. How do you approach this and launch this type of messaging?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that Matt really talked about looking at the end user's perspective and using that to guide us, because I think if you put your customers at the heart of everything you do with marketing, you're going to be a lot more successful. So, we start with prioritizing their pain points. I think that's driven by market demands and what's needed from medical devices to do, but maybe they can't do them yet. So focus groups and voice of customer have become a huge part of what we do at Lumitex, because we have to understand what's important to these clinicians, to these surgeons, to the nurses. And if you start there, I think you're just going to be much more successful when you're launching campaigns and really trying to put your voice out there and tell that story if you start with your customer and what's important to them.
Well, it's also the human-centric side of the design, right? Like if we just had engineers designing this without any input from the practicality of it, then we're probably missing that piece. But I also think it's the impact that you guys have on patients. And how does that get conveyed? Is that part of the design and discovery that you're also evaluating the patient treatment side of the development process?
Yeah, I think it's so important to humanize all of this and emotionally connect all of that. At Lumitex, our mission is improve life with light. And I think that's just so impactful and powerful, because at the end of the day, you could just be talking about, manufacturing components or engineering drawings, or you're talking about electrical boards and, all of the logistics of everything that come with that. But if you start with talking about the diseases that are now able to be treated that previously couldn't be, or if you talk about how surgeons are able to make smaller incisions and improve the outcome of the surgeries, I think that really does a better job of showing the impact that we're making. And then the business and sales side of things, I think what that does is it helps our customers to think of things that they didn't even know were possible to do with light. So that can really trigger new conversations about what they didn't even think they could do.
Is that hard to get people in that stage where they're imagining with you? I mean, it's kind of like in this world of tech and AI, to your point, people don't always know what's possible, especially clients. So how do you get them to that place where you start introducing these ideas of what is possible and get them to, imagine it with you, or even understand that it is a possibility? It's hard for people to ask for something that they don't know exists. That's a question for Matt or Lindsay, or one of you. Feel free to jump in.
Well, maybe I'll start. And it's an iterative process. So we know what our capabilities are. We know what we can produce. We don't know who needs it. So we'll take those early concepts, and fortunately, we've got a great customer base, and we've been doing business with, let's call it in the surgical business, some of these customers for 20 years. And we'll approach them with a new way of creating light into a surgical procedure and ask them how valuable that would be for their surgeons. And then in turn, they'll ask us to go and do a focus group and really understand what the needs of the surgeon are. And then once that gets more refined, we'll take it back to our customers, and it becomes a project and a product for us.
Matt, how difficult is it to get these products to market and all the way through compliance? Like, what's the timeline and some of the challenges today that companies are looking at?
Well, so that it's a complicated question, and I've been involved in some businesses where it's class 3 medical devices. These are invasive products. Some of them require a PMA as you go down the product development path from a regulatory perspective. So it depends on how complicated and how invasive the products are. Our phototherapy devices are fortunately all Class 2 devices, but we still have to go down the correct product development path with design controls and making sure that we're following the right the right methodology. Some challenges are really just user centricity. Getting the user feedback is part of the process. The regulatory bodies are asking for more user feedback in the design process, so that's part of it. And then going back to the macro environment that we're in today, with fewer people at the FDA, fewer people at CMS, things do take longer. We've seen some lengthening regulatory processes just because there's fewer people that can approve these.
Yeah. How does AI fit into this right now?
Lindsay, maybe I'll let you answer that one. We're really focusing on it from a marketing perspective now.
From a marketing perspective, I think it opens so many doors into really helping a small team. We're a small company, so it empowers us in a big way. From a medical device perspective, I think it's even more interesting because everything is getting so small. Products are getting tinier and tinier, and there's more demand for things to be wireless, to have real-time monitoring. So I think from that perspective, AI can really assist with the analytics, with task automation, with freeing up nurses' times, and even to help reduce human error. I think that's a big thing that we hear a lot when we talk to our customers is how can we continue to reduce human error? So AI, I think, factors into both parts of the business. And I just think if you don't adopt it, you're going to fall behind. And we're definitely embracing it and learning as much as we can about it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's an exciting time. So Lumitex is actually celebrating a big anniversary this year, and you guys have a new home. Would you like to expand and just talk a little bit about those big announcements?
Yeah, so 40 years. We've been in business 40 years, which is a huge milestone for any company, especially in medical devices. And, we're doing that in parallel with, as you mentioned, moving our corporate office. Before, we were spread across two buildings, different sides of the street. We kind of had the business separated into two areas, but it made sense for us to combine that, find a new location, modernize, and be more representative to our customers of what we are as a global leader in medical device lighting.
That's very exciting. Very exciting. What are, like, as you guys move down this trajectory of AI and tech and growth and, this 40-year milestone, what are you the most excited about? Lindsay, what are you the most excited about right now?
I'm excited about a lot of things that we're doing right now at Lumitex. I think what I'm most excited about is focusing on voice of customer right now and really developing products more thoughtfully moving forward. So there are some products right now that we are prototyping that I think can make a huge impact and can be disruptive to the way we approach healthcare. And, like Matt was saying, there are challenges and it does take time. And, these things are going to play out over the next, couple of years. But being at the forefront of some of these exciting research and development projects that are happening, and talking to companies as they're really exploring new ideas for how to treat diseases. That's so exciting to me. The research that's happening right now, especially we were talking about phototherapy and photobiomodulation, it's groundbreaking. So we want to make sure that we're at the ready when these companies are ready to move forward on developing the lighting components or the full systems for these devices. And we're just positioning ourselves to be thought leaders there and have them think of us when they're ready to move forward.
That's awesome. Matt, what about you?
Just to add on to that, I mean, it's one thing for a company just to be a specification developer and for, our customers to come to us and say, hey, I need exactly this. And I want you to build this in this precise way. And if you do that, we'll sell it and we'll represent it. Whereas now we're being asked more for the thought leadership up front and be able to define user requirements and put together a feature set and vet those with actual end users before we go back to our customers and say, this is what your customers are telling us they want. How do you feel? And how can we modify that based on your business climate?
It's interesting the paradigm shift with the thought leadership, and I think that is an interesting takeaway. As things are rapidly changing, companies want to know that, medical device manufacturers like Lumitech are on the cutting edge of these changes. So that is an interesting call out. Well, thank you both for your insight today, and congratulations on your success. In just closing, for our audience, if you're in the medtech space and thinking about what's next, whether it's product development, branding, or building culture, there's a lot to take away from Lumitex's approach. Be sure to follow Matt and Lindsay on LinkedIn and subscribe to Under the Brand for more conversations with visionary leaders. Thanks for watching. I'm your host, Valerie Jennings.